Kentucky Rumbler at Beech Bend is one of the more obscure coasters in the United States, and not many enthusiasts make their way out to the park since it's sort of out of the way from other parks, and only has one main coaster, which is Kentucky Rumbler. You could say this park is in the middle of nowhere, and in fact, it's in the middle of a cornfield, which just shows you how middle of nowhere this park could feel to anyone who lives in a more urban area of the country, like New Jersey, which is where I live. Kentucky Rumbler was manufactured by Great Coasters International in 2006 and has modest stats. It reaches a height of 96 feet, a top speed of 47 miles per hour, and a length of 2,827 feet. When the ride first opened, it broke the record for most track crossovers on any other coaster, and was even featured on a TV show called Building the Biggest, alongside of El Toro and The Voyage, since they were all opening in 2006 and breaking records for wooden coasters. This show is how I actually found out about Beech Bend and remembered it when planning my Hollywood Nights road trip with my friends. So the question is it worth it to make your way out to Bowling Green, Kentucky to ride this coaster? Kentucky Rumbler has no theming, and as mentioned before, it's just in the middle of a field. The line has some wood handrails, and the station is made out of all wood, so I guess you could say it's some theming to the wood coaster, but that's really stretching it. Kentucky Rumbler has a single Millennium Flyer train from GCI, which features the newer seats rather than the old couch-like seats, and a single seatbelt for both riders. Something else is to mention that the part of the lap bar that actually touches your stomach or lap is flat, rather than the curved lap bars you see on most GCIs. This is a replacement for the original train that it opened with in 2006. Once dispatched from the station, you take a 90-degree turn to the right and down a small drop into a small hill. The ride then tracks around a slightly elevated turn that gives a small amount of laterals. The pre-lift section doesn't do much, but it serves the purpose of getting to the lift while being slightly interesting. Next up is the 96-foot tall lift hill, which gives nice views of the park to your right, and not much else. Even though this ride doesn't have much in terms of surroundings, the area it's in is mostly farmland and woods, so it feels very natural, and it's very pretty. After the lift hill, the train heads down a small dip into a flat turn, with not much banking, and as a result, the turn gives a nice dose of laterals, which heads down the drop. The drop gives a nice burst of airtime in the back row, and riding in the back row, you get the laterals from the turn, and then you get flown out of your seat with the strong flow of airtime, and the laterals halfway down the drop turns to the other way as the drop twists the other way halfway down, and turns into the valley, which gives a nice sustained moment of laterals. The drop pulls out into a speed hill that flies past the station and gives a great dose of strong sustained flow to airtime. And fun fact, the ride also claims, or I should say the park also claims, that the ride has the world record amount of station flybys, at least when it opened. I'm not sure if this is a legitimate record or not, but it's something they claimed. After the speed hill, the ride then pulls into a raised right turn, which gives some nice laterals around the entire curve. The turn transitions into this weird little airtime pop while turning. And something good GCI is very good at is making airtime feel stronger than it actually is. GCI originally designed their rides to pull around 0 to negative 0.1 Gs on all of their airtime moments and hills. This is featured on all of their wooden coasters. However, they said with their Titan track model and the new trains, they can pull stronger airtime. However, due to the sharp transitions, these moments of air feel stronger than they actually are. So even though you're actually only pulling 0 or negative 0.1 Gs or around there, it feels a lot stronger due to the transitions. It's a little bit more aggressive. So after this pop, it transitions into a lateral fill turn again, and after that is a low to the ground speed hill with once again great flow to airtime. The ride then flows into a raised turn to the left, which doesn't do much in the force department. However, the drop out of the turn has a slight crest, which gives some weak airtime in the back row, however none in the front or the middle. The drop leads into a turn that follows the path of the original first drop and turn. This turn gives laterals on and off since the banking is constantly changing. The exit of this turn unbanks sooner than it should, leading into a speed hill. In result, you get some great laterals then thrown out of your seat with a nice pop of airtime. The ride then races up into a hill over the station. If you're in the front row, or the front few rows I should say, you get a little bit of airtime at first, but it fades away as you crest the hill. The back row gives the opposite, where it gets no airtime at first. However, it turns into weak floater as it drops down. Next up is a classic GCI airtime turn transition, which gives a nice pop of airtime in the front, as I explained before. The turn then curves downward, with some weird banking providing some nice laterals. At this point, the ride feels like it's going way faster than it should be, since it felt like it lost a lot of speed in the turn before. However, it gained a ton of it out of nowhere. Next up is another Airtime turn, which gives a nice violent pop of floater. Like I said, GCI makes their Airtime moments feel way stronger than they actually are. Next up is another low to the ground speed hill with the same type of Airtime, along with a lateral fill turnaround, and Kentucky Rumbler finishes out with a Airtime pop into a lateral fill turn right into the brakes. Once you exit the station, you walk down the exit ramp into a gift shop which also serves food. And fun fact, the park has a ton of merch for this ride, and you should definitely get some because they were cheap and there was a lot of options. Something I did not expect for this small of a park. Something to note about the ride is that it's very easy to get pictures and videos of. The queue and the exit ramp go around some of the ride's hills and turns, and the station is right in the middle of the layout. So you can really get a lot of good photos and videos if you're really looking for that. In terms of seat selection, I think I preferred the front. However, the back was still great, and you feel every bit of that drop. However, in the front you get a little bit more airtime since most of the pops are heading up into the turns rather than down the drops. So for the ride's final score, it gets a 7 out of 10. The ride gives a ton of great airtime along with a good dose of laterals, and for the most part keeps the pacing fast. This ride actually really surprised me, and I was expecting it to be a middle of the road GCI, something like Lightning Racer at Hershey Park, maybe Wildcat. However, Kentucky Rumbler is an aggressive ride and is more intense than I thought a coaster in a cornfield could ever be. Also, something I enjoyed about Kentucky Rumbler was its smoothness. The ride has no aggressive shake or potholes, and it tracks smoothly around the course, and the trains articulate well around those tight curves. However, the ride has that wooden coaster bite to it, which makes it feel more intense than it actually is. It had a slight rumble too, I guess you could say. It is very re-rideable, and out of the 10 plus times I rode it, I never got a headache. This is currently my third favorite GCI behind Mystic Timbers and Thunderhead, and for making this video, Kentucky Rumbler is in my top 40, sitting in the mid-30s. So to answer the question, yes, you should definitely make a trip to Beech Bend to ride this coaster. Beech Bend is a cute little park not too far off from Kentucky Kingdom and Holiday World. After Kentucky Kingdom got rained out, my group decided to take the hour 45-minute drive over to Beech Bend, and it was well worth it. I'll make sure to do a review on the park itself soon so you can see the other rides and experiences at the park, since there's definitely a lot to talk about. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure you leave a like to show your support for the channel and beat the YouTube algorithm. And of course, if you've ever been to Beech Bend, make sure you tell me what you think about Kentucky Rumbler in the comments below. And if you've never ridden it, let me know how you think it looks. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content on my channel. And thanks for watching once again. Hope to see you guys in the next video.